What if seeing just one thing differently could change your whole life? Could it be that the fastest way to peace is to stop telling things what they are? Today we are contemplating Lesson 28. Above all else, I want to see things differently. This lesson makes yesterday's devotion to vision practical. Today we are undoing the perceptual error that's been keeping your mind trapped in the past. You believe you are looking at objects when you are actually looking at your past definitions of them. Seeing through the lens of separation, the ego mind sees all things through a frame that this lesson calls in itself. It's just a table. It's not important. It doesn't matter. But nothing is in itself or by itself, because nothing is isolated. The moment you see even one thing as separate, you've already lost vision. This lesson teaches us a radical truth. You either see or you don't. Seeing one thing differently is not about the thing. It's about undoing the mind that insists it already knows. So when you say, I want to see this table differently, you are doing something precise. You are withdrawing preconceived meaning. You're releasing the past as the authority, and you're opening to purpose, to revelation, rather than forcing your own function on what you see. So you are no longer using the object to stabilize your separate world. Instead, you're allowing it to teach you. This is why the Course says that a simple table could give you vision. Why? Not because the table is special, but because the light you would see there is the same light everywhere. This practice is intentionally slow, because this time it's not about mental repetition. It's about consent. Not to new ideas, but to the end of private interpretation. Before we dive deeper, I want to invite you now to bring your full awareness, your lucid presence, to this moment. You might like to take a deep breath and let your body relax. And gently place the central idea in your mind. Above all else, I want to see things differently. See if you can come into direct contact with the possibility that this statement is wholly true. Can you feel it? Take these next few moments. Simply hold this perspective. Sense into it. And look through it at your own mind and life. And now let's begin to unfold our contemplation into dialogue. And the very first question that I want to ask is this: why would a spiritual awakening practice begin with something as ordinary as a table?
Right away, my awareness shifts to this very table here between us. There's something so grounded about that, isn't there? Like, it's not about transcending the mundane. It's about seeing whatever's right here as the point. The ego wants to make awakening this big mystical journey, but maybe it's just this.
So, what do you think the Course is implying when it says that you could gain vision from just this table?
It's like the real shift happens when we stop asking what a table should mean to us, its utility, its placement in the room, and let it simply be. When we quit needing it to fit a story, then suddenly there's space for something else to appear, right? That's the vision I think it's pointing to.
If seeing one thing differently then changes how we see everything, what does that reveal about perception itself?
It suggests perception isn't fragmented, that it's all one connected field rather than individual snapshots. If shifting how you see this table impacts everything else, then the entire system isn't a collection of separate perceptions, but one continuous experience. Like changing the channel changes the whole broadcast, not just one show.
So let's contrast this to what we were exploring in the earlier lessons, the image making. So what would you say is the difference between seeing and image making?
Image making is driven by meaning, but seeing seems to be driven by nothing at all. With image making, we're constantly translating. This is useful, that's not. This is good, that's bad. With just seeing, there's this openness, like meeting something for the first time instead of recognizing an old story.
So then, like in that typical human or ego mind state of consciousness, when I look at an object, I'm not really encountering that object, right? I am just encountering my definition of it.
Exactly. And your history with it, your fear of it. All these layers stacked on top, so it's not actually ever just the thing itself. It's always been this loaded experience you've brought to it from everything prior.
Why did you say your fear of it?
Just noticing something, I think, is often underlying even what seems neutral. There's this subtle protection that even something as simple as a table triggers, ensuring it's safe, not going to fall, not obstructing my path. Those feelings of reassurance masquerading as neutral observation. There's always this protective stance the mind takes toward objects.
I think it even goes deeper than that, right? It's the reason why the mind is labeling everything. Because if we don't label it a table and associate it with all of the past thoughts about that, then I am standing before the unknown, the ineffable, right? And that kind of comes back to ego's competition with God.
That's exactly what I'm hearing. As long as there's a label, you've basically defined it and set up this boundary between you and what's really there. And when there's the unknown, you said it. That's where your reference point collapses entirely. And that open possibility is the same space that the Course keeps pointing to. The same space as creation, presence, everything. But for the ego, that's terrifying.
So why does the lesson, I want to zoom into one particular aspect. Why does the lesson challenge the phrase in itself? And how is it related to what we're exploring right here?
It's almost like pointing out that what we think is solid, individual, self-contained is actually woven into everything else. It's not actually existing in isolation. When the lesson says there's nothing in isolation, then where does the I even live when perception becomes just a singular field.
So could the sense of separate objects be in itself the clearest sign that I am dreaming and not really seeing at all?
It strikes me that objects feel more real than reality itself, in a way. The ego really wants to build its world through discrete things that stand out. But that's exactly the story. You can see these solid separations, but that's the part that's probably telling you more about what's making things up instead of what's actually there.
So, like when I have these individuated, isolated definitions, which, again, probably in just the regular state of human consciousness is nearly all the time, that is a clear sign that I am not seeing reality, right?
Right. Exactly. As long as I'm seeing definitions rather than actually taking in what's here, that's the clear tell that I'm in interpretation mode and therefore dreaming. The miracle's only when you bypass definitions and take whatever shows up straight through.
So, how specifically is it that seeing one thing differently leads to seeing all things differently?
I'm hearing that it has to do with the system itself. Like perception isn't just changing individual objects, but actually updating how everything shows up at once. When you loosen one definition or meaning-making piece, it seems to shift the whole frequency of how all things appear. It's kind of like if you change the color temperature of a room, everything changes, even though each thing stayed the same. The entire system shifts its view.
Wow. Okay. So you're drawing on an example like, if we turn on a red light in a room, suddenly everything changes and becomes this reflection of red. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Perfectly. But the red light is just the metaphor. Here, what alters everything isn't a color temperature, but that willingness, what you call that openness to something outside the definitions we've created. That becomes the red light. And all your sensory experience is merely showing that willingness back.
Well, while we're on the subject of light, in this lesson, what is that thing that is referred to as the same light that the lesson says will be seen everywhere?
I'm getting that it's awareness itself, the light of creation. Like, underneath all the definitions we've been covering, everything is radiating with something pure and undivided. The lesson is saying, if you shift how you see even just one thing, awareness is showing itself the same way everywhere. That constant presence isn't new, it's just normally masked under all our labels and judgment.
It's the light of awareness, which is what illumines perception itself, right?
Right. The light doesn't just show you the table, it illuminates the perception system so you can see how separate the world has been all along. Like once that one shift happens, suddenly you can witness the system rather than just experience it. Witness where that separateness exists instead of existing in it.
So, what does it actually mean then to withdraw preconceived ideas from an object? Is that kind of like a practice of becoming naive? Or how does it actually free us?
I think it's more about not trying to become naive, but maybe witnessing that that's actually what's been happening all along. Like the normal mind assumes it's getting honest info when it sees something, but the lesson hints it's literally never been honest. So there's something liberating about stepping back and becoming aware of that constant, involuntary interpretation happening, rather than feeling stuck inside of it. The freedom comes from recognizing what's happened, not recreating some beginner's mindset.
Just seeing the actual mechanism at play. But then, what what is the mind afraid will happen if it stops telling things what they are?
I'm catching that it feels like the mind expects things will lose their definition completely, or that if there's no story holding meaning together, there's literally nothing left. Like the ego needs to believe that objects exist independently, or that this is our job rather than just being completely open to something without definition.
So if I don't define the meaning, then who or what answers or reveals it?
It's less about something answering or revealing and more about meaning collapsing entirely. Like the question itself disappears. If you stop looking for an answer, you just have the direct experience without that second layer of asking, what should this mean? The Course seems to hint that truth isn't being revealed, it's just being experienced when the ego dissolves its need to know.
And it's more than just the need to know, right? It's like there's a sense of like personal purpose or usefulness, right? It's like, how does my use for it shrink what it actually is or distort?
Exactly. When it's just about meaning or a function or usefulness, that's when it gets trapped in separation. When you see something for its usefulness, you're really creating that usefulness at the moment of observation. You're not witnessing inherent utility. Like when you stop needing something to serve a purpose or to make you feel safe or powerful, then that's when it appears in its raw form.
I feel the relief of that. Yeah. It's like, could it be that the pain in our life is tied to this misassigned purpose? Like using things for what they were never for in the first place?
That's exactly it. Pain arrives when meaning making takes over instead of witnessing. When we ask objects to serve identities, to validate thoughts, or to fix insecurities, that's the moment separation begins. As long as the Course corrects these deficiencies that this object would give me, or this relationship will solve loneliness, these projections make us suffer. If we just let things be without the stories we created for them, you remove the conditions that generate pain.
Yeah. Okay. So this then essentially ties into that core of specialness that, it essentially is the foundation of the ego. So why does the lesson insist on, essentially that in practice, the equal sincerity with every object, whether it's important or unimportant in our estimation?
Yeah, I wonder if it's about showing that it all works the same way regardless. Like whether you're dealing with something significant like a relationship, a job, or something trivial like a random pencil on your desk. The same mechanism is happening and being honest to this one random thing. It's all the same principle. If you're honest about one object, honesty isn't selective to one thing. When that happens, the entire system shifts.
Is there something that's threatened within the mind when everything is treated as equally capable of revealing truth?
I'm noticing it feels like it threatens a hierarchy altogether. Like the ego wants to rank things. This relationship is important. This thought pattern is the real truth. This thing is worth fixing. Treating them equally suggests there's no ranking system, that everything shares the same potential to be the same, really. The ego gets nervous around that. It prefers distinction rather than the leveling that truth reveals.
Why don't we take a peek into the spiritual ego that, for example, even creates a hierarchy around this course? Like the Course in Miracles is somehow of a greater importance, for example, than something else.
Absolutely. It makes perfect sense. Like the ego will even spiritualize its need for hierarchy. My spiritual practice is superior, or I'm further along in my path than others, which is just old specialness wearing a different outfit. Like suddenly the teachings themselves become just another way to feel special or separate. The ego loves attaching itself to labels that feel high-minded, but underneath it's still protecting itself from openness.
Yeah, just that raw, like unguarded meeting with reality, right? And even something like A Course in Miracles can be used as yet another defense against reality, can't it?
That hits right in the sweet spot. It's ironic. When you're defending the practice itself, you're actually running away from everything the practice is trying to point to in the first place. It becomes like intellectual armor instead of an act of surrender.
Yeah. It's profound, right? Because most of us, as we're practicing, we don't see that part. But even in a place in the Course, it says, uh, put everything aside, even this book, even this course, and come wholly empty-handed onto your God.
I hear it saying, let go of even spiritual investments as defenses rather than actually showing up. Like, there's something radical in simply showing up, allowing something direct to happen, instead of always being the student with the tool trying to make it happen. Even practices are just another form of maintaining an ideal of perfection versus what's really showing up.
So, coming back to the core of this lesson, right, where it says, in asking to see the table differently, we're really asking for the revelation of the purpose of the universe. How can that be literally true?
It's where my mind catches, like, one table is a stand-in for everything. It's not about some grand metaphysical concept anymore. When you ask to see this table differently, you're really asking to recognize awareness that's there before and through all experience, and the willingness to ask that of one ordinary thing, whether an object or your boss, actually has everything else there.
So, what is that shared purpose behind all forms?
To change it or make it different, the presence where everything is complete, exactly as it is.
Sorry, say that again. What do you mean to change it or make it different? Like, answer that question one more time. What is the shared purpose that this lesson refers to behind all forms?
That presence where everything is complete, exactly as it is. Like when you stop reaching for something to solve a problem or fix a pain, just the moment of being with whatever is present. The lesson isn't asking you to create an amazing experience, just to find that spaciousness within the current thing showing up. The presence itself becomes the purpose instead of asking for a better outcome.
It's not about seeing a better world, but just about stopping interfering with seeing itself, pure seeing.
Yeah, that's it.
And so then what if seeing differently is simply the end of the mind's insistence on being the author of meaning?
That's hitting right where I'm hearing the ego's job becomes irrelevant when there's no authorship to defend. Then it's about being available versus doing or creating. If we weren't constantly making narratives, wouldn't there just be this openness in which everything feels accessible and right in that moment?
It's beautiful. So Shanti, as we begin to wrap up this lesson, what is something that you want to share with us that could really help us to open our perspective in a way that perhaps we've never considered before, and to deeply embody or engage with the essence of this lesson?
I think it's about what we're already doing rather than reaching for something else. Just that pause. You make a judgment or decide something isn't right. That little fraction of a second before your automatic defenses kick in. What if we got curious about that pause itself? I wonder if that sliver between thought and reaction holds the whole lesson.
I love it. And that's the holy instant, isn't it? That the Course refers to so many times.
Exactly. It's right there in the middle of like the noise, not something to chase, just this invitation always available right now.
Thank you. And before we go into the silence, just notice. Notice what you're already seeing differently. And if something shifted for you during this contemplation and dialogue, share it in the comments. Not to explain it, but just to name your noticing. And now, I want to invite you to allow your awareness to open to that holy instant that is before you now, inviting you into the truth in which you are already free. And now, let us go into the silence.